Shabbat Shalom, family. Our selection today, keep your hand on the plow.
Keep your hand on the plow. Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Keep your hand on the plow. Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Yeshua said, no man can put his hand to the plow. Looking back before the kingdom of Yah. Keep your hand on the plow and hold on. Hold on. Don't you wonder what you gon' wear or eat? Yah's our provider, why can't you see? Keep your hand on the plow and hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Keep your hand on the plow. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. People gonna talk about you much as they please. The more they talk, stay up on your knees. Keep your hand on the plow and hold on. Hold on. When my way gets as dark as night, I know Yahshua will be my light. Keep your hand on the plow and hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Keep your hand on the plow. Hold on. Hold on. Hold. When I get to Zion, gonna sing it loud. Nobody there to put me out. Keep your hand on the plow and hold on. Hold on. No, my robe is gonna fit me well. Earned it fighting at the gates of hell. Keep your hand on the plow and hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Keep your hand on the plow. Hold on. Yeshua said no man can put his hand to the plow. Looking back before the kingdom of Yah. Keep your hand on the plow and hold on. Hold on. Don't you wonder what you gon' wear or eat? Yah is our provider, why can't you see? Keep your hand on the plow and hold on. Hold on. Hold on.
The oracles of the UCI. 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober, and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby ye are sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as their children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as become saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather given of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth. Therefore, let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you, to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Which is peace on Yahweh's holy Sabbath day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us. You know, when we go through those oracles, we hear two things, that we have to open the door, and then we have to persevere. We have to overcome. So those two things are the part of the agreement that we have to maintain. Yahweh is going to do his part, but Yahweh is not supposed to do everything. See, we are supposed to do some things in that as well. And when you talk about looking into the mirror of righteousness, see, when we look into a regular mirror, you know, you see what is physically there. When you look into the mirror of righteousness, it is supposed to be the image of you as it pertains to Yahweh's law. That is a very difficult thing to look at because sometimes we have a way in our minds that we want to envision ourselves. And the question is, how do you perceive yourself when you look into the mirror of righteousness? When you look at yourself as it pertains to Yahweh's law, because that's a different perspective. We all have the natural perspective, so we have to look deeper than that. And sometimes that means dealing with some things that you may not want to deal with. That also means being able to sit by as other people deal with things that at the time you may not be pleased with. The song today was absolutely beautiful. And I mean beautiful from the lead, all of the choir was on. I felt like we was at a studio just now. Okay, all right. But I want to pause right there. If we go back not even a year, there was a push to say that the choir was causing a problem and that we need to get rid of the choir. Those were entities that were in here. Now you understand why some things have to go. There were people who were trying to get out of the choir. Why? Because pressure was coming on them from the very individuals who were sitting in here. See, looking into that mirror of righteousness, you're going to see some things that you may have cozied up with that ain't quite right. I couldn't imagine that it was in somebody's belief that the church would be better off without the choir. I just looked at the individual when it came out of their mouth. I knew that I was speaking to Satan at that point, not the person, but the spirit that person was entertaining at that moment. So I want you to, play back how beautiful this was just now, and the glorification of Yahweh and the magnification of his holy name and his wonderful law. And to think there were multiple entities in play to try and shut that down, person by person and as an entire group. When you look at something, are you able to see what it is? Or do you say, well, this is my friend, this is my family, this is somebody I hang out with? Or are you able to truly see the spirit that individual is entertaining? And if you can't see that in another individual who's your friend, how are you ever going to be able to see it in you? Today's sermon is entitled, Looking into the Mirror of Righteousness. It is written, with the pure, you will show yourself pure, and with the forward, you will show yourself unsavory. This means that our perception of the word is based upon the manner in which we approach unto our Elohim. For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light, and reproofs of instruction are the way of life. If we seek his face as if we were seeking the riches of the world, our journey shall never end in emptiness. The same light that is brilliant and glorious to one is blinding and inconvenient to another. For if any be a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like unto a man beholding his natural face in a glass. For he beholds himself and goes his way, and straightway forgets what manner of man he was. When we look into the mirror of righteousness, everything we see won't be good. The question is, do we have the fortitude to deal with the unsavory things that the mirror of righteousness reveals about us? Let's begin today's sermon in Psalms 119. Psalms 119, and we're going to start that at verse 1. And you guys have to be paying attention to the things that are going on right now in the earth. When we read things like Matthew 24 and they start talking about wars and rumors of wars, are you guys paying attention to what's happening right now? Biden has a tendency to, they help him write his speeches, but he'll go off the top. Every now and then, he go ahead and ad-lib that thing, and he threw in some stuff about Taiwan, and it has caused a major storm. And this is the second time that he said something. That first thing was about how Russia's leader need to basically be removed. That was some real heavy talk. Then he messed around and said this. So while he's in South Korea, about 14 planes have gone across Taiwan. North Korea has shot 3 missiles in the air. This is in a few days. So we're talking about this whole Asian circle is going to pits because he decided to say something, and it was already there. So you have this thing of, if every last one of them make an assault, which direction is America going to choose to defend itself on? Is it going to be on the Russian front? Is it going to be on the North Korean front? Or is it going to be on the Chinese front? Oh, and Russia came with them to fly all the planes. Russia has now, they're with China. They have warships, everything. They are practicing how to invade Taiwan in front of Taiwan. So then as Biden goes to South Korea, then North Korea starts up. Now the question is, how you going to protect all these places and still protect your house? And what I find interesting is how we still go on business as usual like ain't nothing happening. I don't think we're going to get it until a bomb go off next door to us. Then we're going to figure it out. And that's the point that these people are making. When North Korea fired off one, they letting you know this can reach your mainland. So that whole you coming over here and fight and mess up our house, but y'all still having coffee at Starbucks, that ain't gonna happen. Those days are gone. Technology has caught up in the rest of the earth. That ain't never gonna happen. So the whole thought process that we're accustomed to having, that, yeah, it might be a war, but, we'll only see it on TV. No, those days are gone. They got stuff that'll go all around the world. They ain't got to fly here. They don't have to be intercepted in the water. No. They can fire it from where they are and still hit here. And I think it's going to take some things like that for us to even get a clue. These places have to go without power and water. Luxuries that we just don't even consider. We just expect it to be there. My lights went off the other day. Wasn't no storm, wasn't no nothing. Everybody in the house just surprised, like, what happened? But then you also look up, and everybody in the family, everywhere, all over the house, power go out, everybody came in the same room. I said, boy, look at Yahweh. Now everybody got to come out there. I really started to just cut the damn power back off when it cut on. I started to go out there and flip the damn switch. Everybody end up in the same room. Now everybody talking, having, like real conversation. Like they didn't text, like, what you doing? Holler back. No, this was real face-to-face conversation. Everybody in the same room. And all it took was the power to go out. So some of these things that we may be forced to deal with that we don't think we want is going to end up being better for us as spiritual growth is concerned. You don't really consider that your device is keeping you from your spiritual growth. You don't consider that your device is keeping you from having a conversation with your brother. Your device is keeping you from spiritually growing. Because you don't have to communicate with your neighbor. You don't have to fellowship anymore. There are people that'll be alone in a room full of people. Why? Because this is all they're doing. It's 50 people in the room. They're not having a conversation with anybody in it. That's it. The only thing that's tied is their thumb from scrolling. Power ain't got to go out, but for a little bit for that to die. Then we're going to have to get back to good old-fashioned having a conversation. And it's going to scare some of y'all to actually have a face-to-face conversation, because then people can actually see your facial reaction. You can text whatever kind of reaction you want, not knowing that your face already gave one. So understanding that these things are picking up on the earth, we need to start paying attention and getting our relationship closer with our Elohim. Because at the end of the day, we can get all the things that we need to try and survive. We can get emergency food. We can get our weapons. We can get our water. At the end of the day, it is Yahweh our Elohim that is going to sustain us. I'm not telling you not to prepare. I'm telling you to prepare all the way around. And this is the biggest part of your preparation. If you forget this, you're wasting your time. You can buy as many bullets as you want. You ain't never going to outgun the enemy. They've been stacking up weapons for 200 years. What your little pea shooter going to do? Psalms 119, and let's start that at verse 1.
Blessed are the undefiled in the way, who walk in the law of Yahweh. Blessed are they that keep his testimonies, and that seek him with the whole heart. They also do no lawlessness. They walk in his ways.
And if you make an attempt to seek Yahweh with your whole heart, there's some things in your heart that's going to have to be rearranged. There's some things in your heart that you're going to have to just completely do away with. Because it is acting what Yahweh is trying to do. But you got something else in your heart and your mind. Go ahead.
You have commanded us to keep the precepts diligently. Oh, that my ways were directed to keep your statutes. Then shall I not be ashamed when I have respect unto all your commandments.
When I have respect unto all your commandments, not the ones I like or the ones that I feel like are easier for me to keep. Go ahead.
I will praise you with uprightness of heart when I shall have learned your righteous judgments. I will keep your statutes. Oh, forsake me not utterly. Wherewithal shall a young man cleanse his way? By taking heed thereto according to your word. With my whole heart have I sought you. Oh, let me not wander from your commandments. Your word have I hid in mine heart, that I might not sin against you.
Right. So if I have his word, if I have his law inside of me, I don't need a fringe to remember what the commandments are. I don't need fringes to remind me. That was carnal Israel who could not follow instructions, and they were told to wear these fringes. And it is the first thing when you run up to some people, oh, you're a Hebrew, well, where your fringes at? Your answer need to be, they on my heart. You didn't see them? You didn't see them? His law is in my heart. Why you didn't see my fringes? See, I don't need to be reminded that blue house is not my house. I don't need to be reminded that the woman in the red dress ain't my wife. I don't need to be reminded that that black car not my car. Go ahead.
Blessed are you, O Yahweh. Teach me your statutes. With my lips have I declared all the judgments of your mouth.
Right. And when you listen to, these writings about, seeking Yahweh with their whole heart, see how many of them you read talk about fringes. See if the fringe was connected to the heart. Go ahead.
I have rejoiced in the way of your testimonies as much as in all riches.
Now don't get it twisted. I'm not telling people not to wear fringes. I wear them when I want to wear them. But I don't wear them because I need to wear them. Go ahead.
I'll meditate in your precepts and have respect unto your ways.
I will meditate in your precepts. So if I'm meditating in your precepts, why do I need something to remind me of your precepts? Go ahead.
You know, brother, when David went over to Saul and cut off a piece of his garment, did it say he touched his fringe and that reminded him not to kill him?
No, it sure didn't. Not one. And it said he cut off the bottom of his garment too, right? Mm-hmm. So that should have been where the fringe was, right? Mm-hmm. It sure didn't mention it. Go ahead.
I'll delight myself in your statutes. I'll not forget your word. Deal bountifully with your servant, that I may live and keep your word. Open you mine eyes, that I may behold wondrous things out of your law.
Right. If you open my eyes, I will see wondrous things out of your law. So what happened to the individual who reads but whose eyes are not open? They have their own perception of his law. Go ahead.
I am a stranger in the earth. Hide not your commandments from me. My soul breaks for the longing that it has unto your judgments at all times. You have rebuked the proud that are cursed, which do error from your commandments. Remove from me reproach and contempt, for I have kept your testimonies.
Right. But when you look into this mirror of righteousness and Yahweh does remove from you reproach, that reproach may be connected to an individual. What you gonna do? See, it's easy when we can make reproach a system. But what if all the reproach is connected to some entities that you have latched onto? Are you strong enough to get rid of the reproach? Go ahead.
Princes also did sit and speak against me.
What does Israel mean? What does Israel mean? I keep hearing every version, but okay. For you have power with Elohim, so Prince of El. So when you talk about princes also did speak against me, them Israelites. Why do you think in some places they go and they say, Shalom, Prince? What do you think Israel mean? Go ahead.
But your servant did meditate in your statutes. Your testimonies also are my delight and my counselors. My soul cleaves unto the dust. Quicken you me according to your word. I have declared my ways, and you heard me. Teach me your statutes. Make me to understand the way of your precepts. So shall I talk of your wondrous works. My soul melts for heaviness. Strengthen you me according to your word. Remove from me the way of lying.
Remove from me the way of lying. Some of us have learned that as soon as we get into an uncomfortable place, a lie fly out our mouth. We can't even, the lips be closed and the lie still fly right out of there. Because those are things we learned in the daughter of Babylon. Go ahead.
And grant me your law graciously. I have chosen the way of truth. Your judgments have I laid before me. I have stuck onto your testimonies. O Yahweh, put me not to shame. I will run the way of your commandments when you shall enlarge my heart. Teach me, O Yahweh, the way of your statutes, and I shall keep it unto the end. Give me understanding, and I shall keep your law. Yes, I shall observe it with my whole heart. Make me to go in the path of your commandments, for therein do I delight. Incline my heart unto your testimonies, and not to covetousness. Turn away mine eyes from beholding vanity, and quicken you me in your way.
And vanity goes so deep and is so wide. You can be in the midst of vanity and not even consider that is what you're doing. Go ahead.
Establish your word unto your servant, who is devoted to your fear. Turn away my reproach, which I fear, for your judgments are good. Behold, I have longed after your precepts. Quicken me in your righteousness. Let your mercies come also unto me, O Yahweh, even your salvation, according to your word. So shall I have wherewith to answer him that reproaches me, for I trust in your word. And take not the word of truth utterly out of my mouth, for I have hoped in your judgments. So shall I keep your law continually forever and ever. And I will walk at liberty, for I seek your precepts. I will speak of your testimonies also before kings, and will not be ashamed.
I will speak of your testimony also before kings, and will not be ashamed. There comes a time when we are put in situations and we refuse to do anything. You have to ask yourself, how is Yahweh going to perceive that? Are you ashamed of his word? Go ahead.
And I'll delight myself in your commandments, which I have loved. My hands also will I lift up onto your commandments, which I have loved, and I'll meditate in your statutes. Remember the word unto your servant, upon which you have caused me to hope. This is my comfort in my affliction, for your word has quickened me. The proud have had me greatly in derision, yet have I not declined from your law.
Right. See, it's those times when you are pressed and everybody said, man, hey, man, if I was you, I'd swing on them, bro. This is that time when you try your best to restrain yourself and remember his law. Instead of staying in your anger, you get in his book and start figuring out, okay, I need something to calm me down. This is why it was told to the holy men, hey, you need to be married to a certain kind of woman. Because see, the wrong kind of woman, when you get angry, many brothers in prison right now. You just going to let him do that to you? I know you're not going to let him do it. You're a punk. You're a punk. I remember the old you would have shot up this whole place. Where he at? I tell you where you about to be. On Memorial Drive over there at the big house. Go ahead.
Verse 52. I remembered your judgments of old, O Yahweh, and have comforted myself. Horror has taken hold upon me because of the wicked that forsake your law. Your statutes have been my songs in the house of my pilgrimage. I have remembered your name, O Yahweh, in the night, and have kept your law. This I had because I kept your precepts. You are my portion, O Yahweh. I have said that I would keep your words. I entreated your favor with my whole heart. Be merciful unto me according to your word. I thought on my ways and turned my feet onto your testimonies. I made haste and delayed not to keep your commandments. The bands of the wicked have robbed me, but I have not forgotten your law.
The bands of the wicked have robbed me, but I have not forgotten your law. Go ahead.
At midnight I will rise to give thanks unto you because of your righteous judgments. I am a companion of all them that fear you, and of them that keep your precepts.
Pause. Verse 62. At midnight I will rise to give thanks unto you because of your righteous judgments. There's sometimes that I might finish doing something, just working in the yard, and I just have to sit down and meditate. If Yahweh didn't bring me back, I wouldn't be able to even do this. And just sit down and have me a quiet moment, meditating on what my Elohim has done for me. Then you get to verse 63. I am a companion of all them that fear you, and of them that keep your precepts. We don't consider that the company you keep ends up causing certain things to go on in your spirit. See, I learned the difference in my friends, especially as I start getting into this word. I realized who was the angry friends, and whenever I was around them, I got angry with them because they had an angry spirit. You realize when you go around your gypsy friends, they just happy about everything. You realize the difference, and then you start picking up, oh no, it's not just them. There's a certain spirit that's in each one of these places. Then you're going to have to figure out, how do I coexist among these different spirits without letting it overtake my spirit? Go ahead.
The earth, O Yahweh, is full of your mercy. Teach me your statutes. You have dealt well with your servant, O Yahweh, according unto your word. Teach me good judgment and knowledge, for I have believed your commandments. Before I was afflicted, I went astray, but now have I kept your word.
Now, pay attention. Before I was afflicted, I went astray, but now I have kept your word. Go ahead.
You are good and does good. Teach me your statutes. The proud have forged a lie against me, but I will keep your precepts with my whole heart. Their heart is as fat as grease, but I delight in your law. It is good for me that I have been afflicted.
Listen, it is good for me that I have been afflicted. See, we don't even consider that. We too busy in the woe is me stage. It is good for me that I have been afflicted. Go ahead.
That I might learn your statutes.
See, we don't think we can learn anything. Or we have that thought process.
You know, I was going to do this anyway. You know, eventually I was going to, do right. I was going to come out of the streets. I was going to stop chasing whatever that was. I was going to do it anyway.
See, that's what we want to believe in our own mind. That all those things we were going to stop on our own. No, you wasn't. Some of us had to hit a brick wall before we stopped certain things. Go ahead.
The law of your mouth is better unto me than thousands of gold and silver.
All right, jump to verse 161.
Princes have persecuted me without a cause, but my heart stands in awe of your word.
Once again, princes have persecuted me. When you deal with this from the standpoint of King David, then you're dealing with his own sons in the natural sense. If you're dealing with this from slow-mo, then you're dealing with his own brothers. When you deal with it in the aspect of all Israel, we're then talking about us Israelites who are persecuting you without a cause. Now, they believe in their heart and their mind that their cause is just. But when your meditation is upon this law, provide the law of which that brother or sister broke concerning you. Then you have afflicted someone without cause. Go ahead.
I rejoice at your word as one that finds great spoil. I hate and abhor lying, but your law do I love.
Right. Do we have that kind of heart in us whereby we abhor and hate lying? See, there's certain things that are going to work against the precepts of Yahweh, our Elohim. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 8. See, in war times, everybody is preparing themselves for war. So, right now, body armor is being sold at an enormous rate. Weapons are being purchased at an alarming rate. But how many people are spiritually arming themselves, getting prepared for the spiritual war that we're about to be engaged in? So you got to make sure you get all your weapons. Don't do any good to buy 5 guns and you ain't got no bullet. You just got glorified rocks. All you can do is throw them. That's all you can do. That's a rock. A rock would have been cheaper just to go over there and dig it out the ground. So if you don't have all the weapons, you don't have any weapons. This is the greatest weapon that you have. Because if you put your right effort into this weapon, it is either going to make it to where you don't have to use the other ones, or it's going to enhance your ability to use the others. Go ahead.
You know, last night, a couple of the brothers and I were talking after the choir rehearsal. And, you know, the thing with this latest shooting at the school is like, well, I don't understand why Hispanic killed Hispanic kids. Like, you're too busy looking at the individual.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about the demon that entered into the individual.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't care about that being his own people. Stop looking at the individual. It's high demonic presence going on. I'm sure when they got him in an interrogation room and they said, you did this, I did what? What you talking about? Whereas the interrogating officer might think he's lying. He's telling the truth. The demon has departed. Like Priest Esaac is saying, this spiritual armor. All of us are fighting something every day. I'm sure something ticks you off, but then you bypass it and you get over it and you move on without reacting. How does that happen? Because you have the spiritual weapons necessary to get you beyond that point. If not, hey, you might be the one shooting up something.
A demon don't care who it uses. Hey, you have Israelites that'll go on, a gun happy rampage in their own setting. What happened? Entertaining them demons. And we are about to enter into a time, and obviously we're already there, where there is set to be an increased demonic presence on the earth. As it is written, for he knows that he has but a short time. So then he step up his game. And if he has already led a major fraction of the angels away from Yahweh, you're talking about a full level deceitful act of anarchy. We going against the rulership. Go ahead.
1 Corinthians chapter 8 and verse 1. Now as touching things offered unto idols, we know that we all have knowledge. Knowledge puffs up, but love edifies.
So then we have to deal with that. We ended up having a question about this. Does this make it okay to eat things that were offered up unto idols? Go ahead.
And if any man think that he knows anything, he knows nothing yet as he ought to know. But if any man love Elohim, the same is known of him. As concerning therefore the eating of those things that are offered and sacrificed unto idols, we know that an idol is nothing in the world, and that there is none other Elohim but one.
Okay, so then we know that the idol is a figment of somebody's imagination. Okay, so this is the first thing that we have to deal with and accept as we're breaking this thought process down of how we're going to deal with something. You also have to understand as well where and who these things are being said to. A lot of concepts we take out of the New Testament without going back and basing it upon the foundation of the law in the Old. And what happens is you're now dealing with the Euro-Gentiles who were engrafted into Israel's tree, but they don't have the same power, nor do they have the same responsibilities. And they are inundated with idols. So when you make this as you're reading this, and people think, okay, it's okay to deal with idols, you have to understand, Gentile life has idols everywhere.
Today we was like, oh yeah, that's our logo.
No, but then you just pray to it. I don't think you're supposed to pray to a logo. I don't think that's the right logo. So their idols are everywhere. We think houses have to be made in the pyramid so the rain run off. Well, all them houses in Israel got the flat roof that you see in the front, and they just slope down just enough for the water to roll off. Your driveway ain't no pyramid, ain't no water sitting on it, is it? Right. You don't even see the angle. Your driveway slope. If your driveway was flat, it'll be a pool there every time it rains. It is not flat. You think the house have to be every last one. Most of us live in idols. You got either 2 or 3 pyramids on that house. Their idols are everywhere. But are you going to be one of those people that take it way left field?
I ain't gonna live in no idol, so this thing look like a pyramid. So I'm just gonna get a tent and live out in the woods.
Congratulations, go right ahead. Let's see if your woman follow you there. I'm sure you can get your woman to go tenting for the weekend. But after that, go ahead, bro.
Verse 5. For though there be that are called gods,
Uh-huh.
whether in heaven or in earth, as there be gods many, and masters many, but to us there is but one Elohim, the Father, of whom are all things, and we in him, and one Adonai Yahshua HaMashiach, by whom are all things, and we by him.
Right. So because they worship this tree, we know Yahweh made the tree. But they worship the tree. They bow down to it. They put their gifts under it. Now, did the tree now become a god? The tree is a god in their mind. We know it's just a tree. But then there comes a situation of how is that going to be perceived by other individuals? If my family say, we really do like the Christmas trees, I said, you know what, it ain't nothing but a tree. And then somebody drive by your window, hey, so I got up a Christmas tree. Now, what you think they're gonna do to everybody else? And some people not gonna stop right there. See, once they get the tree, now they finna get something else, and then something else, and before you know it, they saying Shabbat Shalom and got Santa Claus and reindeer on the roof. Shabbat Shalom, Sock. Taking a picture under Santa Claus. What the hell is he doing? Because he saw you had that tree in your house. See, this is what your tree did to him. Go ahead.
Howbeit there is not in every man that knowledge. For some with conscience of the idol unto this hour eat it as a thing offered unto an idol, and their conscience being weak is defiled. But meat commendeth us not to Elohim, for neither if we eat are we the better, neither if we eat not are we the worse. But take heed lest by any means this liberty of yours become a stumbling block to them that are weak.
Right. Now understand who he's talking and dealing with. He's having to deal. Corinth is in Greece. All right. So Corinthians are Grecians. Understand that these people have idols everywhere. So he has to give them some kind of, you ever wonder why he gave them these things to do, and idols was one of the main things that was in it? Why? Because they have them everywhere. So if they didn't deal with any idol, they're going to have some serious problems. It's like us trying to explain when we're going to get paid. Do you say first day, second day, third day, fourth day? No, you're going to say Friday. Now that's a God right now. You realize you just said one, right? But I need my check to be there. And I don't need nobody to be confused. You said the fourth day. I figured you just want to be paid once a month. Because it's the fourth is only one time. It's only 1/4. So therefore I paid you 1/4. What? Go ahead.
For if any man see you, which have knowledge, sit at meat in the idol's temple, shall not the conscience of him which is weak be emboldened to eat those things which are offered to idols?
Right. Now, for if any man see you, which have knowledge, sit at meat in the idol's temple, shall not the conscience of him which is weak be emboldened to eat those things which are offered unto idols? Go ahead.
And through your knowledge shall the weak brother perish, for whom the Mashiach died.
Right. So now you have blood on your hands because of your knowledge. Now the weak brother is wounded because of what you have presented before him. And those are things that we don't even consider. What have you presented to somebody that may end up being their downfall and may ending up with blood on your hands? Go ahead.
But when you sin so against the brethren and wound their weak conscience, you sin against the Mashiach.
Do we even consider that? Do we even consider that we have sinned against the Mashiach? Because see, we don't see the Mashiach. All you saw was your brother. Go ahead.
Wherefore, if meat make my brother to offend, I will eat no flesh while the world stands, lest I make my brother to offend.
Wherefore, if meat make my brother to offend, I will eat no flesh while the world stands. What that mean? Why he standing there? That don't mean I ain't never gonna eat it. I just had some turkey the other day. But what happened if it was on their Thanksgiving and somebody came by my house?
Sock celebrating Thanksgiving. How you know that? I seen him with a big old turkey up there.
I eat turkey all the time. But I'm going to be very, very careful when it come down to those days. If my family, baby, you want some turkey? You know what? Not right now. This ain't a good time. See, somebody come by here and they going to swear. They going to swear down. Suck talking all that Hebrew stuff. He wasn't saying that when he was celebrating Thanksgiving. He wasn't saying that. I saw him with the dressing and everything. Right, right. Keep reading, bro.
Am I not an apostle? Am I not free? Have I not seen Yahshua HaMashiach, our Adonai? Are not you my work in the Adonai? If I be not an apostle unto others, yet doubtless I am to you. For the seal of mine apostleship are you in the Adonai.
Now, then you have to deal with who was he sent to. He was sent to the Euro Gentiles. So a lot of times we take these things without basing them. Is it some really good things in there? Yes. And Israel can take those things and add them on top of the law and get a better understanding. But you can't take it by itself. Go ahead.
Mine answer to them that do examine me is this. Have we not power to eat and to drink? Have we not power to lead about a sister, a wife, as well as other apostles, and as the brethren of the Adonai and Cephas? Or I only and Barnabas, have not we power to forbear working? Who goes a warfare any time at his own charges? Who plants a vineyard and eats not of the fruit thereof? Or who feeds a flock and eats not of the milk of the flock? Say I these things as a man, or saith not the law the same also? For it is written in the law of Moshe, you shall not muzzle the mouth of the ox that treads out the corn. Does Elohim take care for oxen?
No, he's talking about those priests who do that job. You can't muzzle them and say, well, you know, I'll let you teach this thing, but you can't teach that. Or, you know, I don't want you to really, you know, talk to my family or such and such, especially when we get off into things. Go ahead.
Or saith he it altogether for our sakes? For our sakes, no doubt, this is written, that he that plows should plow in hope, and that he that thresheth in hope should partake of his hope. If we have sown unto you spiritual things, is it a great thing if we shall reap your carnal things? If others be partakers of this power over you, are not we rather? Nevertheless, we have not used this power, but suffer all things, lest we should hinder the gospel of the Mashiach. Do you not know that they which minister about holy things live of the things of the temple, and they which wait at the altar are partakers with the altar? Even so has the Adonai ordained that they which preach the gospel should live of the gospel.
That they which preach the gospel should live of the gospel. There's a article that was out and talking about how profitable the prosperity doctrine has become. And some of these people worth 50, 60, 70 million dollars, you know, selling all of their things, and there are many book deals. And they said, well, you know, this is, you know, just on the book, you know, that I made this money. But what happens is you go to a church service and 2 scriptures are read in 2 hours. If you want to get any other scriptures, you got to buy the book or the DVD. You're selling the word. Oh, they hella angry at us.
They look at them, they're giving away all that word over there. You supposed to put that in the DVD for $49.99.
I'm sure there's some Christian watching us right now.
See, that's why he Poe. Look at that. He realized that's 9 DVDs already. He ain't even halfway done. I can make 9 DVDs out of that right there. And he ain't even got halfway to the class yet. That's why he Poe.
Go ahead.
But I have used none of these things, neither have I written these things, that it should be so done unto me. For it were better for me to die, than that any man should make my glorying void. For though I preach the gospel, I have nothing to glory of, for necessity is laid upon me. Yea, woe is unto me if I preach not the gospel. For if I do this thing willingly, I have a reward. But if against my will, a dispensation of the gospel is committed unto me. What is my reward then? Verily that, when I preach the gospel, I may take the gospel of the Mashiach without charge.
I may make the gospel of the Mashiach without charge. So I'm not going to mention 2 scriptures and then sell you a DVD for $49.99 so you can understand the other 5. See, then the actual service then is just a commercial for the stuff you got for sale. And that's the thing that angers some people, because they want to monetize everything. And we wasn't about that. Because first of all, I don't like them commercials that they put up. Go ahead.
That I abuse not my power in the gospel. For though I be free from all men, yet have I made myself servant unto all, that I might gain the more. And unto the Yehudis I became as a Yehudi, that I might gain the Yehudis. To them that are under the law, as under the law, that I might gain them that are under the law.
Right, clear separation here. Go ahead.
For them that are without law,
to them that are without law. So he's already given one explanation in verse 20. Then he gives another view of that in verse 21. But what if you, as one born under the law, communes with those who are without the law? Go ahead.
to them that are without law, as without law, being not without law to Elohim, but under the law to the Mashiach, that I might gain them that are without law. To the weak became I as weak, that I might gain the weak. I am made all things to all men, that I might by all means save some. And this I do for the gospel's sake, that I might be partaker thereof with you. Know you not that they which run a race run all, but one receives the prize? So run, that you may obtain.
Now, understand something. To some people, this may be their perception of this may be hypocritical. How is it you can hang with the Jews and the Gentiles? Because I want to save both. But I don't forget who I am around either. Go ahead.
And every man that strives for the mastery is temperate in all things. Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but we an incorruptible. I therefore so run, not as uncertainly, so fight I, not as one that beats the air. But I keep under my body and bring it into subjection, lest that by any means, when I have preached to others, I myself should be a castaway.
All right, let's go to our Deuteronomy chapter 17.
Deuteronomy chapter 17 and verse 8. If there arise a matter too hard for you in judgment, between blood and blood, between plea and plea, and between stroke and stroke, being matters of controversy within your gates, then shall you arise, and get you up into the place which Yahweh your Elohim shall choose. And you shall come unto the priests, the Levites, and unto the judge that shall be in those days, and inquire, and they shall show you the sentence of judgment. And you shall do according to the sentence, which they of that place which Yahweh shall choose shall show you.
Now this is how we muzzle the ox that treads out the corn. When it comes down, this is how we're supposed to deal with a situation. A situation comes up, we then go to the people of authority and say, okay, this is the situation. Then they present to you some things. All right, this is what this is. This is what this says. Let's put these two things here together. This is how this thing is to be dealt with. But because we don't want to get any instruction, we muzzle the ox that treads out the corn because we don't want to get any direction. So we hide a lot of those things until it's already done. Or we show up only when we want to get certain of our issues worked out. Then after that, you don't see us no more. Go ahead.
And you shall observe to do according to all that they inform you, according to the sentence of the law which they shall teach you, and according to the judgment which they shall tell you, you shall do. You shall not decline from the sentence which they shall show you, to the right hand nor to the left.
And this is why we don't want to get it. Because we don't want to be held responsible for not doing it. Go ahead.
And the man that will do presumptuously, and will not hearken unto the priest that stands to minister there before Yahweh your Elohim, or unto the judge, even that man shall die, and you shall put away the evil from Israel. And all the people shall hear and fear, and do no more presumptuously.
And part of that whole thing is putting away this individual from among you, putting these things away from you, and then the people shall hear and fear and operate accordingly. But when things are not dealt with, there is no reason to fear. Let's go to Acts chapter 9. See, a lot of things are presented to us so that we would take our hand off the plow. And we don't understand that we turn around and give those things power so that we do walk away and take our hands off the plow. We got a reason and an excuse for everything, and the devil playing games with us. His whole objective is to get you to take your hand off that plow. Because see, now, you got to have a conversation with Yahweh. And you have to ask yourself, whenever you look at a situation, whoever ends up with an explanation when Yahshua arises, those are people that didn't do what they were supposed to do. See, when a brother was given 2 talents or a sister given 2 talents and they work on that and they end up with 4, when Yahshua returns and make an accounting of the things that he has given unto you, you ain't got no story. The only story is, this is what you gave me, this is what I got. And if you don't believe me, go read the story of the talents. See which one had all the words. The one who took the talent and hid it in the earth.
Now see what had happened was, Yahshua, come on, sit down. Say, let me tell you something. Let me talk to you. No, let me say something. Let me say something. Look, okay, so I knew, how you are, because you know how you is. Look, so what I had did was,
You talking to them much? What the stuff you was supposed to have? Oh, you ain't got that. That's where this explanation comes. And you should just listen to, wait a minute, how many of your things start to sound like excuses? There's an excuse for this. There's an excuse for that. There's an excuse for that. What that means is you ain't doing what you're supposed to be doing. That means you ain't ordered your heart. Because if you ordered your heart, it's certain things that you're going to do first. If you content, I'm going to read the Bible tonight. Now, you had that thought at 7 o'clock. Then at 8 o'clock. Then at 9 o'clock. Then at 10 o'clock. Then around 11:30, you say, all right, I'm going to pick up the book. At 11:37, you're going to be having a dribble of slop going down that. The last little energy that you had left, the rest of it, when you start reading, the adversary, the devil, lullaby you right to sleep. You start trying to read Yahweh's law, and you done waited till 11 o'clock at night. Here come Lucifer right in your ear. Skip it up. You think it's Al Jarreau in your ear. Go to sleep, suck. What? Right. And you weren't sleeping before that. What happened? I tell anybody, oh, you got insomnia? I got the cure. Pick up this book. I can't sleep. But see, when we can't sleep, we all off in the other stuff. I can't sleep. I got a remedy for you right here. Lucy's going to be like, all right, well, I was messing with him. Let him go on to sleep then. Don't. Right? Now, won't you keep me up like you would keep me up before? You had my heart racing, had me thinking about this, had me thinking about that. What happened to all of them thoughts? All right, I'll just leave you alone for right now. Maybe Wednesday. I'll be back. Right. Right. Go ahead.
Acts chapter 9 and verse 1. And Saul, yet breathing out threatenings and slaughter against the disciples of the Adonai, went on to the high priest, and desired of him letters to Damascus to the synagogues, that if he found any of this way, whether they were men or women, he might bring them bound on to Jerusalem.
Right. So the question is, would we serve Yahweh, would we worship if the way in which we worship became illegal? You have to understand, with some of the laws that they just passed, teaching has its whole illegal concept in it. They can't teach certain racial aspects because of the new laws that have been passed. Yet they can still say that George Washington was a hero. Never, you can't mention how many slaves he had. They can mention the things about the founding fathers, and they have to tell that story as their heroes. But you can't discuss the slaves that they had out back and what they were doing with their slaves. Education was always weaponized, but even more so now. You got teachers that might get brought up on charges. Mm-hmm. I don't think we're paying attention to the era that we are in, where a teacher could get arrested because he or she actually taught what was in the book. The word has already been weaponized. Because if you go downtown and sign them papers, man, we don't own 4 buildings. They'll let us get grants. They'll let us get all kind of stuff. They'll let us get all kind of money. But then the word is weaponized. Now you got that grant. Now, Sock, you can't teach this. Okay. Sock, wait a minute. I remember y'all built a nice library. That was nice. Look here. But you can't put these books in the library. What? Yeah. You need to read page 312 of your grant paper. Ah, man, are you crazy? Right. We're going to give you the money, but we also going to tell you how to spend it. Go ahead.
And as he journeyed, he came near Damascus, and suddenly there shined round about him a light from heaven. And he fell to the earth, and heard a voice saying unto him, Saul, Saul, why persecute you me? And he said, Who are you, Adonai? And the Adonai said, I'm Yahshua whom you persecuted. it is hard for you to kick against the pricks.
All right, so what concept is happening here? As it is written, when you have done these things to the least of them, you have done them to me. How he has come unto to Saul is not, why did you persecute my servant? No, he said, why you persecute me? Are you ready for that question? Because you may see who you see. Go ahead.
And he, trembling and astonished, said, Adonai, what will you have me to do? And the Adonai said unto him, Arise and go into the city, and it shall be told you what you must do. And the men which journeyed with him stood speechless, hearing a voice, but seeing no man. And Saul arose from the earth, and when his eyes were opened, he saw no man. But they led him by the hand and brought him into Damascus.
And you understand that this is a humbling situation. This is the same man who was desiring letters so that he would have the license to bring people bound. Now he has seen a vision and automatically asks, what are your instructions for me? And now the very one who's the bounty hunter, if you will, because that's what Saul is. He's a spiritual bounty hunter. Now somebody got to lead him. So now you're not only, dealing with this situation of humbling by himself, asking, what will you have me to do? Oh, you're in a very, very deep situation. He's a bounty hunter who can't see. Now you're about to run across some of the people whose family you drug, bound, so they could get punished, and some punished to death. And now some of those people walk amongst you, but you can't see. Go ahead.
And he was 3 days without sight, and neither did eat nor drink. And there was a certain disciple at Damascus named Ananias, and to him said the Adonai in a vision, Ananias. And he said, Behold, I am here, Adonai. And the Adonai said unto him, Arise, and go into the street which is called Straight, and inquire in the house of Yehudis for one called Saul of Tarsus. For behold, he prays, and has seen in a vision a man named Ananias coming in, and putting his hand on him, that he might receive his sight.
Now, he had to see this in a vision because he can't see no other way. Go ahead.
Then Ananias answered, Adonai, I have heard by many of this man, how much evil he has done to your saints at Jerusalem.
Now, that's something that we all have to deal with. Because we have our perception of what we think should happen because of some evil deeds that some people have done. But what if Yahweh allowed those evil deeds to be done by them to strengthen you? You don't know how he has that set up. Remember in Psalms, he said, it is good that I have been afflicted. Now I'm sure he didn't think it was good while he was being afflicted. Nobody thinks affliction is good while they're in it. But then you look at what it brings after. Then you can say, you know what? It was good that I went through this. Go ahead.
And here he has authority from the chief priest to bind all that call on your name. And the Adonai said unto him, Go your way, for he's a chosen vessel unto me, to bear my name before the Gentiles, and kings, and the children of Israel. For I will show him how great things he must suffer for my name's sake.
Right. So then we see that suffering is a part of Saul's salvation. Why? Because he made other people suffer. So then the job that he has the things connected to it that is going to help him right some of the things that he's done and work forward in dealing with the things that Yahweh needs for him to do. So then you have to consider that. Do Saul just sit here and say, woe is me all day? Or does he go in and say, I understand what I've done. This is a part of my plight. This is how I'm going to work off those things so that when I get to that point, of having to stand before my Elohim in judgment, when the charges is read, all right, you did this, but you did that over there, so we're going to wipe that out. Okay. As to charge 476, you did such and such, but you also did this such and such. So I'm going to take away that charge. But when you don't think you got any charges on you, you walk around high and mighty, not knowing, hey, you got over 1,000 charges. All it takes is one to get you sentenced to death. So if you work enough to get 900 off, you're still in jeopardy. Go ahead.
And Ananias went his way and entered into the house, and putting his hands on him said, Brother Saul, the Adonai, even Yahshua, that appeared unto you in the way as you cameth, has sent me, that you might receive your sight and be filled with the Holy Spirit. And immediately there fell from his eyes as it had been scales, and he received his sight forthwith, and arose and was baptized.
He arose and was baptized. You know, now you have some that believe that Yahweh and Yahshua is going to come to them personally and tell them to get baptized. That has actually came out of some people's mouth. When Yahshua comes to Saul, he didn't tell him to get baptized. He knew what he needed to do. He told him other stuff. He didn't tell him to get baptized. Yet you got people that regardless of what's written in this book, they believe that Yahweh is going to get off his throne, come to Rockbridge Road, sit in the lobby and wait for them to come, and then tell them when they come in the lobby, my son, it is time. You keep thinking that. You keep on thinking that. Let's go to our 1 Corinthians chapter 15.
I got a question for you.
Go ahead, brother.
Who Saul was under Gamaliel, right?
Yep.
He was a Pharisee, right?
Right.
So he knew the word, right?
Yep.
So he wasn't already baptized with the word?
Nope.
Oh.
And I mean, he knew the word profusely. Gamaliel was a very strict teacher. Okay? So no, he wasn't baptized with the word. Because he if anybody could have argued that they were baptized with the word, it should have been him. See? But we listening to all these, cornerstone preachers, and and because they gather up a lot of people, we think that means something. You can always gather up a lot of people on the cornerstone. Hell, that's where we hang out. 1 Corinthians chapter 15, and let's read verses 9 through 11.
Verse 9. For I am the least of the apostles, that I am not meet to be called an apostle, because I persecuted the church of Elohim.
So now you're talking about an honest look at oneself when looking into this mirror of righteousness. Not trying to portray themselves as somebody who hasn't done anything. But look at what it made him do, though. Go ahead.
But by the grace of Elohim, I am what I am.
Uh-huh.
And his grace, which was bestowed upon me, was not in vain.
Uh-huh.
But I labored more abundantly than they all.
You see what it made him do? You can tell the people who don't think they got any charges. See, the ones who know they got charges, they operate differently. See, Saul knew, without a doubt, oh no, I got some charges. But he said, hey, I work more than all of them. See, we think it's the other way around. Oh, that person works so glorious and they just so loving with Elohim and they such and such. No. That person look, I should have been in prison at 19. I should have been dead at 22. I should have been in prison again at 26. I should have killed 4 people by this day. these people who know they got charges, their work schedule is a little bit different than others. Go ahead.
Yet not I, but the grace of Elohim which was with me. Therefore, whether it were I or they, so we preach, and so you believed.
All right, now let's go to 2 Samuel chapter 12. See, sometimes we can take an honest look, an honest account, but your heart got to be at a certain place to do that. Then there are other times where there's something blocking your heart. Then somebody has to help you see. And it's not based on your intelligence level. This is not about I'm so smart. It's okay. It's not about I'm so smart that, things are just, going to magically happen. You have to look at and take into a honest examination, an honest account, and say, because of where I am in this situation, it's making it difficult for me to see certain things. 2 Samuel chapter 12, we're going to read verses 1 through 14.
And Yahweh sent Nathan unto David, and he came unto him, and said unto him, There were 2 men in one city, the one rich and the other poor. The rich man had exceeding many flocks and herds, but the poor man had nothing.
Now, he's bringing to him this situation, which is explaining something that King David has done. Now, he is a very wise man. He's very astute. He knows all of these things. But his desire at this point has clouded his vision as to what he has done. So now Yahweh has to send a parable, if you will, in the mouth of another individual. Go ahead.
Save one little ewe lamb, which he had bought and nourished up, and it grew up together with him, and with his children. It did eat of his own meat, and drank of his own cup, and lay in his bosom, and was unto him as a daughter. And there came a traveler unto the rich man, and he spared to take of his own flock and of his own herd, to dress for the wayfaring man that was come unto him, but took the poor man's lamb, and dressed it for the man that was come to him. And David's anger was greatly kindled against the man.
Now, he has given a situation that did not include any names. See, sometimes this is how we can't get a righteous answer about something, because we present it with respect to persons. So it is being presented unto David without any markers of who this individual is. This is a man who came to a town. He had some situations happening. Somebody coming to see him. Boom, this is what he did. But there are no names. So now this gives an opportunity for David to say how he feels without having the respect of persons of himself. Because do believe something. The biggest respect of persons, and people say, well, this person have respect of persons about that individual, so they're not going to say nothing about him. No. Our biggest respect of persons is ourselves. Don't get it twisted. Go ahead.
And David's anger was greatly kindled against the man. And he said to Nathan, As Yahweh lives, the man that has done this thing shall surely die.
So now Yahweh has put him in a situation that he would pronounce what could be righteous judgment. In this also is the grace of Yahweh. Because righteously he should be put to death. Go ahead.
And he shall restore the lamb fourfold, because he did this thing, and because he had no pity.
He don't know he's talking about himself yet. Go ahead.
And Nathan said to David, You are the man.
It had to be a serious silence right after that part right there. Go ahead.
Thus says Yahweh Elohim of Israel, I anointed you king over Israel, and I delivered you out of the hand of Saul.
Now, he could have said that at verse 1. This don't come out till verse 7. But see, in that pause, in those other words, what was the opportunity for David to see himself? Go ahead.
And I gave you your master's house and your master's wives into your bosom.
Right, and those very wives are who he's going to allow some things to happen to because of what he has done. He said, I gave you your master's house and your master's wives. Tell me what you don't have. Go ahead.
And gave you the house of Israel and of Yehudah. And if that had been too little, I would have moreover have given unto you such and such things.
All you had to do was ask me. If you had asked me, I would have given you whatever it was that you desired. I would have made something happen for you. Go ahead.
Wherefore have you despised the commandment of Yahweh, to do evil in his sight? You have killed Uriah the Hittite with the sword.
Now, he didn't kill him with his own hands. See, what Israel will do is, come meet me at my house. I got a plan. Yeah. You conceived a plan. Yahweh holding you guilty. Go ahead.
And have taken his wife to be your wife, and have slain him with the sword of the children of Ammon.
Say, you have slain him with their sword because of the situation that you conjured up. Go ahead.
Now therefore the sword shall never depart from your house.
Right. The way you have done it, this is what's always going to be in your house. Because what you did to somebody else's house. Now see, this is that part of looking into this mirror of righteousness. Do you understand why certain things are there? Go ahead.
Because you have despised me, and have taken the wife of Uriah the Hittite to be your wife.
Now, this is the punishment upon David, but it shall never leave his house. Go ahead.
Thus says Yahweh, behold, I will raise up evil against you out of your own house.
Uh-huh.
I will take your wives before your eyes, and give them unto your neighbor, and he shall lie with your wives in the sight of this son.
In the sight of this son. He's going to lay with your wives in front of everybody. Go ahead.
And who's a closer neighbor than your own child?
You can't get no closer than that. Is that who is my neighbor? That boy yours. Go ahead.
For you did it secretly, but I'll do this thing before all Israel and before the sun.
Mm-hmm.
And David said unto Nathan,
And you got to look at this now. This is Yahweh saying, you going to do what?
Yeah, everybody gonna watch. We had popcorn. They gonna sit up there and be like, man, he is really doing that. My goodness. Hey man, y'all got some salt? Put some salt on there. This is interesting right here. I came out here to plow my field, and there was some plowing already going on. Man, Yahweh doing this? Good God Almighty.
That's pretty deep. Go ahead, bro.
And David said unto Nathan, I have sinned against Yahweh. And Nathan said unto David, Yahweh also had put away your sin.
Check that out.
Not die.
Check that out. But he made you pronounce judgment on yourself so that you understand what you should have gotten. But then in his mercy, he still spared you. This is why you don't hear David constantly complaining as those things are happening. Because he has taken a real spiritual accounting when he looked in that mirror and said, I know what I did. See, but when we sugarcoat the past, it's hard for us to accept the present. I know what I did. So as we go forward and all of these things are happening to David, you don't hear him crying?
Oh, it's me. Oh, I can't believe. Oh.
You don't hear none of that? This is what happened when you take a real spiritual accounting. Go ahead.
Howbeit, because by this deed you have given great occasion to the enemies of Yahweh to blaspheme, the child also that is born unto you shall surely die.
Right. All right. Now let's go to our 1 Kings chapter 2. See, sometimes, and Dawid very much so understands the pause in righteous judgment. So then we're going to look at something that he ended up giving to Slow-Mo as a charge.
1 Kings chapter 2 and verse 1. Now the days of Dawid drew near that he should die. And he charged Slow-Mo his son, saying, I go the way of all the earth. Be you strong therefore, and show yourself a man, and keep the charge of Yahweh your Elohim, to walk in his ways, to keep his statutes and his judgments, and his commandments, and his judgments, and his testimonies, as it is written in the law of Moshe, that you may prosper in all that you doeth, and whithersoever you might turn yourself. That Yahweh may continue his word which he spake concerning me, saying, If your children take heed to their way, to walk before me in truth with all their heart and with all their soul, there shall not fail you, said he, a man on the throne of Israel. Moreover, you know also what Joab the son of Zeruiah did to me, and what he did to the two captains of the host of Israel, unto Abner the son of Ner, and unto Amasa the son of Jether, whom he slew, and shed the blood of war in peace, and put the blood of war upon his girdle that was about his loins, and in his shoes that were on his feet. Do therefore according to your wisdom, and let not his hoary head go down to the grave in peace.
Right. So now this deed that he has gotten away with thus far is now about to get dealt with. So that means whether there was some kind of covenant that Dawid made, because you have gone to war with me, I will never harm you all the days of my life. Got nothing to do with it now. Look, I'm about to die. Now come here, boy. He need to die. But I can't do it. But this your job. Go ahead.
But show kindness unto the sons of Barzillai the Gileadite, and let them be of those that eat at your table. For so they came to me when I fled because of Absalom your brother.
Right. So now good is going to be spoken about others who have done good. But this is past good and past bad. See, we want to receive the fruits of our labor immediately. So if we do it at 2:17, at 2:21, we want to be eating.
I mean, I already planted the watermelon. Hell, I don't understand why I don't have watermelon. It's been 5 minutes.
Go ahead.
And behold, you have with you Shimei the son of Gera, a Benjamite of Beharim, which cursed me with a grievous curse in the day when I went to Mahanaim. But he came down to meet me at Jordan, and I swear to him by Yahweh, saying, I will not put you to death with the sword.
I will not. But my son, you have a job to do. Go ahead.
Now, therefore, hold him not guiltless, for you are a wise man, and knoweth what you ought to do unto him. But his hoary head bring you down to the grave with blood.
Now, so these are older people who have done great things earlier. See? And they have been allowed to live their lives up until this time. But now it's time to pay for those things. And you see the difference in the scale. Yahweh blesses Dawid in a way of saying, all right, I am not going to let the sword leave your house, but you're going to live. So some of those pauses you have to consider. Was it a good pause in Yahweh not dealing with you immediately when you did something? Or is the pause a bad pause? It's $1 million question. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 1. See, because all we want when something happens is we want to be immediately relieved of the present pressure. But what if that means you have now delayed an even heavier pressure? Because when you delay that present pressure, hey, at the end these other ones getting killed. So are you delaying the present pressure? But you know what happens? Pressure builds up. Pressure keeps building. So because you're trying to get that immediate peace, what pressure bomb have you been presenting around you? That's the question we have to ask. Deuteronomy chapter 1, and let's read verses 34 through 39. Because, we also ended up having a question about, if it's written that the fathers, why would the sons be punished for the deeds of the father? And you got to look at what Yahweh said about David. He said, the sword shall never leave your house. And then when he says, your neighbor is going to do this before the son, that was his son who ended up sleeping with all of those concubines, those wives that he had given him. And Yahweh, like Priest Kish was saying, you can't get any closer of a neighbor than your son. Because now what that made happen, a father and son can't go in unto the same woman. He can never touch them women again. Yet he still got to pay for all their food. He still got to pay for all their clothes. But he can never touch any of them again. You can't get no deeper punishment than that. Go ahead.
Verse 34. And Yahweh heard the voice of your words and was angry and sware, saying, surely there shall not one of these men of this evil generation see that good land which I swear to give unto your fathers, save Caleb the son of Yephani. He shall see it, and to him will I give the land that he has trodden upon, and to his children, because he has wholly followed Yahweh. Also Yahweh was angry with me for your sake, saying, you also shall not go in thither. But Yahshua the son of Nun, which stands before you, he shall go in thither. Encourage him, for he shall cause Israel to inherit it. Moreover, your little ones, which you said should be a prey.
Remember, because that was our lie. The lie that Israel told was, you brought us out here in this wilderness to kill off our children. So then Yahweh takes that lie and makes that lie our judgment. Go ahead.
And your children, which in that day had no knowledge between good and evil, they shall go in thither, and unto them will I give it, and they shall possess it.
So then we have to then ask this question where the question that was asked, how would a son end up paying for the sins of the father? Understand something. Here are sons inheriting a promise that wasn't made with them. Do we ever look at that the other way around? Because if that's the case, we should not be inheriting some of the promises because they wasn't made with us. So how far are we going to take that? Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 46. See, sometimes we have to learn how to try to see things through the eyes of Yahweh Elohim. So Jeremiah chapter 46, and we're going to read verses 27 and 28.
Verse 27. But fear not you, O my servant Jacob, and be not dismayed, O Israel, for behold, I will save you from afar off, and your seed from the land of their captivity. And Jacob shall return, and be in rest and at ease, and none shall make him afraid.
Now, you notice when you're using here, he's saying Jacob. He's listing Jacob as one man. He's talking about all 12 tribes of Israel. But he's mentioning Jacob as one man. Go ahead.
Fear you not, O Jacob my servant, says Yahweh, For I am with you, for I'll make a full end of all the nations whither I have driven you, but I will not make a full end of you, but correct you in measure, yet will I not leave you wholly unpunished.
Right. And in dealing with that, you then have Yahweh deciding that he's dealing with Jacob as one entity when it comes down to this promise, rather than going through the whole thing of mentioning 12 tribes. So no, when I say Jacob, I mean all of them. Now, when looking into the perfect law of liberty, we have to make a conscious decision to address the things that are revealed unto us by the shining of the light. We must also consider that we are being held to a higher standard according to what is written in the legacy that was left unto us. Israel was set to be a kingdom of priests. We then have to examine the roles and responsibilities that were placed upon the priests. Priests were instructed to cover their heads, showing honor and submission unto the Elohim that they serve. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 11. Now, once again, whenever we are reading these letters, because these letters go back and forth as to whether or not they're talking to Israelites or whether they're talking to Gentiles, you have to look at how it is being addressed. Because we can go in the book of Romans and find a great amount of things that he's talking directly to Israel about. He started talking about a priesthood. He ain't talking to them. See, you found Cephas talking about the things about the priesthood because he's dealing directly with Israel. But then even in the book, it tells you Cephas, Peter, was an apostle to the Jews. Saul, an apostle to the Gentiles. But we have taken all of the things that are said from the apostle to the Gentiles, and we blindly throw that over toward the Jews, even though he himself separated the two. And that's what happens in Romans chapter 2. He separates the two. Starting right at verse 9, he lets you know. 1 Corinthians chapter 11, and let's start that at verse 1.
Be you followers of me, even as I also am of Yahshua. Now I praise you, brethren, that you remember me in all things and keep the ordinances as I delivered them to you. But I would have you know that the head of every man is the Mashiach, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of the Mashiach is Elohim. Every man praying or prophesying having his head covered dishonors his head.
Now, we have to first of all listen to who he's talking to. Then we also have to look at the designation of every man. If he's dealing directly with the Euro Gentiles, you don't even find the word priest anywhere where he's talking to them. And that's something that we don't even consider. That term priest and priesthood comes out when they are talking directly to Israel. Other than that, he don't even mention it. Go ahead.
But every woman that prays or prophesies with her head uncovered dishonors her head, for that is even all one as if she were shaven. For if the woman be not covered, let her also be shorn. But if it be a shame for a woman to be shorn or shaven, let her be covered. For a man indeed ought not to cover his head, for as much as he is the image and glory of Elohim, but the woman is the glory of the man.
Now, it's funny how when you listen to the twisted doctrine that you'll get at the corner store, they'll tell you that the Gentiles are people who Israel turned into the Gentiles as they went off. Then you get into other things where they won't attribute it unto the Gentiles when it's not favorable. and you watch the twisting of that doctrine if you pay attention. It twists as they see fit. Go ahead.
You know, brother, even when we're dealing with head coverings here, right?
Mm-hmm.
I stumbled across something yesterday, and it was kind of funny that in Louisiana, there was something called a Tigman law. Where
now, Leah gonna jump on you that T-on.
T-O-T.
T-on, bro. T-on, bro. Bro, don't say, bro, come on, man. Come on. Come on, bro. Don't do that, man. I don't feel like hearing that all night. Come on. Say it right. Say it right, bro.
That forced our women to have to cover their heads. So it was ironic to me that Yahweh already gave us this law, but then you come here into the country of your slavery and punishment, and somebody passed a law for you to cover your head.
Right. But see, that's us. We only follow the laws of the land, you know, when they are forced upon us.
But that law was just for black women. It wasn't for white women.
Right. But we're the ones that should have been covering our head to start with. Oh, Yahweh is poetic when he whip you. Remember when your mom used to whip you, you always had that conversation. You had the pre-whooping talk, and then you had the while you was getting the whooping talk. And I always found fault with that. You know, this gonna hurt me more than it hurt you. Well, I don't see you crying. I'm the only one crying in there. See, the pre-whooping talk was to explain to you why you about to get this whooping. See? And at that point, you know, and it drag out sometime.
See, I know I told you. And huh? Tell me what you were doing. No, where? No, shut up.
Didn't you just ask me something? Now the rest of the talk while you getting the whooping, those are not necessary for your response. These were accents to the strike. I told you to, you know, that was a little accent part right there. Okay? She's not really requiring you to answer back. The first part you got to answer back. But not on this one. But there was a conversation so that you understood what you were being punished for. We have got into, you know, this vanity of a thing to the point where now we don't want to deal with those laws. But when you get down to that, what it started to become, they started making those head wraps so nice that then it became a symbol of jealousy for all the other people. But see, that goes to show you how we can take whatever you give to us and flip it around and make it an amazing thing. You give us something to punish us, we'll turn around and it'll be the coolest thing ever. All the people that just, we're going to date them niggers. Now they want to say nigger so bad. Can I say it? Can I hang out with you? I just want to call you my nigger so bad. No, you can't say it. Then we turn around and it's the coolest thing ever. What's up, my nigga? Now hey, we're trying to degrade them, but they won't even let us. I call him nigger, he starts smiling. You give us anything. They gave us them low parts on the pig, throwing them over the fence. Leave it up to us. We found out a way to eat them stinking chitterlings that we call chitlins. We found a way when there is no way. But that's Yahweh showing you a bit of your power. This is in your lowest state. You still have these things. What do you think you're going to have when he removed that curse from you? Go ahead, brother.
Verse 8, for the man is not of the woman, but the woman of the man. Neither was the man created for the woman, but the woman for the man. For this cause ought the woman to have power on her head because of the angels.
Now, this is something that he has to explain to Euro Gentiles. He does not have to explain this to Israel. Go ahead.
Nevertheless, neither is the man without the woman, neither the woman without the man in the Adonai. For as the woman is of the man, even so is the man also by the woman, but all things of Elohim. Judging yourselves, is it comely that a woman pray unto Elohim uncovered?
Now, this is where some questions end up hitting me late last night, because it brings about another question. Go ahead.
Does not even nature itself teach you that if a man have long hair, it is a shame unto him?
Now, he's saying, doesn't even nature teach you that? Where does nature teach you about if a man have long hair, it is a shame unto him? You know, there's a separation between a man and a woman. You know, when we look at, animals, you got a bird, you may be able to look at those two birds, and if you don't know much about birds, you can't tell that there's a slight difference between the man and the woman. You look at gorillas, you can't tell. It's a difference between the man and the woman. I bet the gorilla know. You ain't have to tell him, this is a good gorilla. I know, fool, get out of the way. You didn't have to explain that to him. Okay? But we do things to blur the line. Meaning, Yahweh gives a man facial hair. We then shave all the hair off so that our face will look just like the woman's face. You ever considered how your Elohim might look at you when you show up with a face like a baby's bottom? You know, will you confuse the angels? What the hell is this? Yahweh, what's this? I didn't know if it was man, boy, girl. What the hell is this? This grown man ain't got nothing on his face at all. What is this? And you got to work hard to keep your face that smooth. Now, I'm telling you, you got to shave constantly. Then you got to train your face to take a razor. Because your face automatically, when you talking about the law, your face automatically tells you, you need to stop doing this, fool. You learn under this part here.
Yes, sir.
Boy, you talking about the blackest brother ever get red bumps right there. And you like, how they even get red as black as you is? Your skin is trying to tell you, hey man, you're going against the law of your Elohim. You realize nobody else in the earth get hair bumps? Just you. How is it nobody, I'm talking nobody on the planet. Nobody but you. And this ain't no color thing. How many Africans you seen with hair bumps? This only happens to you. Your body trying to tell you, what you doing, man? Are you serious right now? You gonna shave yourself so you look like the woman? So even in approach, there was supposed to be a difference in the entities. That's a woman, this is a man. There was supposed to be no confusion as to, okay, which one of them is the woman now? Hell, his nail look just like her. His face look just like her. Hell, and damn, they got on the same clothes. You have to ask yourself, would the angels be confused? Go ahead, bro.
But if a woman have long hair, it is a glory to her, for her hair is given her for a covering.
All right, so now let's go to Leviticus chapter 21. See, how we present ourselves is a part of the righteousness that we seek. We're going to start with verses 1 through 6. Leviticus chapter 21. See, the law says a man shall not wear that which pertains unto a woman, and a woman shall not wear that which pertains unto a man. Now, he didn't go into direct explanation. If you got something pink with ruffles on it, it was probably not made for a man. I mean, we have to consider some things. They might start having gender neutral areas in the stores. You got the man section, you got the woman section. And apparently somewhere in between there's going to be another section. Are you wearing clothing from the aisle in between the man and the woman aisle? Go ahead, bro.
And Yahweh said unto Moshe, Speak unto the priests, the sons of Aaron, and say unto them, There shall none be defiled for the dead among his people.
So you look at the weight that he put upon the priest. See, nowadays, the pastor is the one who's conducting funerals. Go ahead.
But for his kin that is near unto him, that is, for his mother, and for his father, and for his son, and for his daughter, and for his brother, and for his sister a virgin that is near unto him, which has had no husband, for her may he be defiled. But he shall not defile himself, being a chief man among his people, to profane himself. They shall not make baldness upon their head, neither shall they shave off the corner of their beard, nor make any cuttings in their flesh.
So right away, Yahweh expects a priest to look a certain way. It ain't supposed to be no chopping off of the beard. You know, even in other places it says, hey, if a man goes bald, he is not sin. But if he continues to make himself bald, then that's something altogether different. Because a lot of these situations are presented when the people are ending vows and things of that nature. Go ahead.
They shall be holy unto their Elohim, and not profane the name of their Elohim. For the offerings of Yahweh made by fire, and the bread of their Elohim they do offer. Therefore they shall be holy.
All right, jump to verse 10.
And he that is the high priest among his brethren, upon whose head the anointing oil was poured, and that is consecrated to put on the garments, shall not uncover his head, nor rend his clothes.
So then we automatically know that. We know that the high priest is not going to remove his head covering. But then at some point, we really have to examine the whole situation of, should we be removing our head covering? Understanding that Israel is set to be a kingdom of priests. It brings about a real interesting question. Go ahead.
Neither shall he go in to any dead body, nor defile himself for his father or for his mother. Neither shall he go out of the sanctuary, nor profane the sanctuary of his Elohim. For the crown of the anointing oil of his Elohim is upon him. I am Yahweh.
All right. Now let's go to Exodus chapter 28. Because you have to consider something. If even when you deal with certain things that were given, and we know that these head coverings were given unto the children of Israel in priesthood. But you had, at this point, you have one tribe of priests. After Yahshua, you have the introduction of the priesthood in every tribe, because the rest of the nations are going to have to be taught. The Levites are the priests to Israel. Israel is the priest to the rest of the nations. Exodus 28, and let's read verses 1 through 4.
And take you unto you Aaron your brother, and his sons with him, from among the children of Israel, that he may minister unto me in the priest's office, even Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, Eleazar and Ithamar, Aaron's sons. And you shall make holy garments for Aaron your brother, for glory and for beauty.
So the holy garments are for glory and for beauty. Go ahead.
And you shall speak unto all that are wise-hearted, whom I have filled with the spirit of wisdom, that they may make Aaron's garments to consecrate him, that he may minister unto me in the priest's office. And these are the garments which they shall make: a breastplate, and an ephod, and a robe, and a broidered coat, a mitre, and a girdle. And they shall make holy garments for Aaron your brother and his sons, that he may minister unto me in the priest's office.
So to even come before Yahweh, understand that the mitre is a head covering. All right? Now jump to verse 40.
And for Aaron's sons you shall make coats, and you shall make for them girdles, and bonnets shall you make for them.
And bonnets are head coverings. So the high priest has one type of head covering. The under priests have a different type of head covering. But the whole point is they both have head coverings. Go ahead.
For glory and for beauty. And you shall put them upon Aaron your brother and his sons with him, and shall anoint them, and consecrate them, and sanctify them, that they may minister unto me in the priest's office. And you shall make them linen breeches to cover their nakedness. From the loins even unto the thighs they shall reach. And they shall be upon Aaron and upon his sons, when they come in unto the tabernacle of the congregation, or when they come near unto the altar to minister in the holy place, that they bear not lawlessness and die.
Check that out. If you come toward Yahweh's holiness dressed the wrong way, you may die. Do we even consider that? Go ahead.
It shall be a statute forever unto him and his seed after him.
All right, and we're going to read one more thing. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 44. Ezekiel 44. And we're going to start at verse 15. We're going to read verses 15 through 21. Now, this is the future temple. So in case anybody's wondering about the instructions that are about to be given, these are future instructions. Go ahead.
But the priests, the Levites, the sons of Zadok, that kept the charge of my sanctuary when the children of Israel went astray from me.
Okay, so their level of how they're working is based upon the things that they did in the past. See, it's that thing of whether you're going to face judgment now for past dealings, or whether you're going to get a level of authority based on what you did in the past. So why they are given this authority is because they stayed true when everybody else flaked. Now authority is being put in their hands. Go ahead.
They shall come near to me to minister unto me, and they shall stand before me to offer unto me the fat and the blood, says the Adonai. They shall enter into my sanctuary, and they shall come near to my table to minister unto me, and they shall keep my charge. And it shall come to pass that when they enter in at the gates of the inner court, they shall be clothed with linen garments, and no wool shall come upon them, whilst they minister in the gates of the inner court and within. They shall have linen bonnets upon their heads, and shall have linen breeches upon their loins. They shall not gird themselves with anything that causes sweat.
Right. So when you see the people with all of these made up get-ups, and they got all kind of costumes, they don't consider that in this book, Yahweh not letting people walk up to him without their heads being covered. Now, people ask you about why don't you have on fringes? Your question should be, why don't you have on a head covering? You can't even approach unto your Elohim like that. Go ahead.
And when they go forth into the outer court, even into the outer court to the people, they shall put off their garments wherein they ministered, and lay them in the holy chambers, and they shall put on other garments, and they shall not sanctify the people with their garments. Neither shall they shave their heads, nor suffer their locks to grow long.
Now, nor suffer their locks to grow long. This is where it gets interesting, because you have that situation where Saul says, doesn't even nature tell you that it's a shame for a man to have long hair. Here we go in the prophets where they're telling us they shall not shave, but they also shall not suffer their locks to grow long. So then when we then come in to pray, and brothers who have locks take their head covering off, you have to ask yourself, are we putting ourselves in jeopardy? See, I don't have that problem. I ain't got no locks. Ain't no locks gonna grow up here. Wasn't no locks gonna be over here 20 years ago. That was long gone. I ain't have to worry about nothing like that. But you got to ask yourself a question here. This is where this gets interesting. Because at this point, if their heads are to be covered when they approach unto him, then you have an individual with locks, and then remove that covering and pray before Yahweh. That's something we're going to have to meditate on. It hit me last night and I couldn't answer it. Go ahead.
They shall only pull their heads.
So if you poll, you just cutting around, you trimming. Okay? Go ahead.
Neither shall any priest drink wine when they enter into the inner court.
Right. When they have a job to do, no, they are not to drink wine. So then when we look, like I said, sometimes you look into that mirror and it shows you some things that you might not be ready to deal with at times. And I have to honestly say, at that point, I came out with a question that I'm still going to have to meditate on. But I thought it was rather interesting. I felt it was rather interesting, and we got to put it out there. Sometimes you don't deal with things until you have worked it out with your Elohim, but some things you just got to put it out there. Look, this is a question. Yahweh ain't showed me which way I'm going to go with that question, but it's definitely there because I couldn't shake loose from it. But that's all that we're going to do for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.